Welcome to News Today with Universal Parks News Today. I'm Tom Corliss. Here now the news for March 6th, 2023. The Interplanetary Passports for ET Adventure at Universal Studios Florida have a new design and the old cards have been retired. Of course, it's our biggest story of the week. Guests traveling via bicycle to help ET find Magdal, Tikli Mutmut, and Orbidon and save the green planet can't go without an interplanetary passport. And after the pre-show featuring Steven Spielberg ends, the doors open and guests give their names to a team member and only, of course, ever their actual real name, who then gives them a card. The card is an essential part of the finale of the ride. As the team member assigns a name to the card, the guests carry it through the queue just before the load station where a team member takes it and scans it. And then at the end of the ride, spoiler alert, after you've saved the green planet, ET will thank you personally as long as he knows your name. So... sometimes you just get friend. The new design is horizontal. It features ET's face, and the silhouette of ET and Elliot now has a stream of red, yellow, and blue light in an arc behind it. And the back of the card now says, trying to phone home, ? Instead of phoning home, ? The barcode is much smaller, and it also has logos for ET Phone Home, Where Are You From, and Amblin Entertainment. You compare this to the back of the old cards, which are showing you now. Previous design featured the moon prominently with a small silhouette of ET and Elliot on the bike. It was also vertical, though the back was horizontal. And at the end of the ride, after, again, you save the green planet, he'll say your name. And it's very exciting. It was very exciting for the time in 1991. No one had done this. But did you know ET Adventure is one of the last remaining attractions from opening day at Universal Studios Florida? When the park opened on June 7th, 1990, the Interplanetary Passports were known as passes, as the original pre-show set up that guests were extras on a new ET film. At the time, almost everything in the park was themed as if guests were visiting real working sound stages and sets. You know, like our backdrop that none of you at home understand. The attraction. Anyway, you can leave that in. All that was, they were filming movies and shows and music videos at the park at the time. Very different time, kids. In 2002, though, the ride received a refurbishment in honor of the movie's 20th anniversary. That marked the debut of the current pre-show and the new backstory. And ET Adventure also used to exist at two other Universal parks. It was in Hollywood until 2003, where it made room for Revenge of the Mummy. And then in 2009, it was removed from Universal Studios Japan for Space Fantasy the Ride. And Space Fantasy the Ride, the only ride I will accept replacing ET Adventure. They're both fantastic. There's no Hogwarts without you, Hagrid. And Hogsmeade is just not the same without the popular Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. Thankfully, the ride reopened this week, and guests can once again enjoy a ride through the Forbidden Forest with the lovable Hagrid. The attraction was rumored to close for refurbishment last month, with closure dates eventually announced from February 20th to March 5th. Sometimes refurbishments can get behind schedule, but luckily Hagrid's opened right on time. And of course, guests would not have allowed it not to. I think a lot of people would have complained. The main point of the closure was to repair some damage from Hurricane Ian last year. These damages along the queue and into the area near the ride track. The damage did not affect the operation of the attraction, but barricades could be seen in the area while on the ride. Temporary walls and a bridge were set up to allow guests to navigate the queue and avoid the damaged areas, but now those have been removed and the queue is back to normal. Florean Fortescue's ice cream cups are now available in Honeydukes at Hogsmeade and Islands of Adventure. On a recent visit to the park, we stopped by Honeydukes Candy Shop to check out these delicious flavors. If you're looking for these new frozen treats at Honeydukes, head slightly left upon entering and look for a refrigerator/freezer case positioned against the wall near the bulk candy section. Besides the Gilly water bottles, individual cups of ice cream are available for purchase if you prefer to take your ice cream with you and not eat it right away. Honeydukes cooler bags can be purchased for $15, provided that you make a qualifying purchase. These cooler bags are located near the ice cream and water. It's $5.99 for a cup of ice cream. They come in 4 flavors. There's Butterbeer, strawberry peanut butter, vanilla, and Dutch chocolate. You can review some of those flavors on our website. And those who enjoyed the ice cream could previously only obtain the hand-packed frozen delights at the Three Broomsticks restaurant in Hogsmeade. On occasion, a mobile cart selling bottled drinks and these ice creams is stationed in the vicinity, but this typically occurs only during peak season. Florean Fortescue's ice cream shop, located in Diagon Alley in Universal Studios Florida, offers both scoop and soft serve ice cream. On busy days, prepackaged ice cream is also available from carts over there as well. Previously, prepackaged ice cream was only available in the venue, which was often overcrowded. However, guests can now purchase it again from Honeydukes. This is good news that Florean Fortescue, for me, is the highlight of Diagon. It's my favorite thing there. Fully dairy-free Butterbeer is now available in both cold and frozen at Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Orlando Resort. The actual Butterbeer drink has always been dairy-free, but the foam topping was not. Universal began offering the drink without the topping last summer as a vegan version. This new version has a dairy-free topping, so guests who don't want dairy can get the full experience. Cold and frozen dairy-free Butterbeer can be found at the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade at Universal Studios Hollywood. It can likely be found in the same place at Universal Orlando Resort, as well as in the Leaky Cauldron in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley. This program is brought to you by our official travel agent sponsor, The Vacationeer, the engineers of your next epic vacation. Sit back and let their team of vacation planning experts craft your family's next magical trip. The best part is their services are free. Visit www.nt.travel for details. Universal Parks and Resorts has filed 2 more patents to potentially expand the interactive wand experience in the Wizarding World. Orlando Business Journal shared the details of the 2 patents. The goal of the first patent seems to be to improve on the pre-existing system in place for interactive wands at the Wizarding World. The second patent is particularly exciting because it suggests guests could someday interact with a costumed character using a wand. Interactive wands are available at both Universal Orlando and in Hollywood. They're also in all the other Universal parks, for that matter. And guests with an interactive wand can go to designated spots throughout the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, mostly window displays, and perform certain spells that will trigger an effect. This includes making a fountain spray water or an item float. This patent uses wands as an example, but could also be used for other technology. We could see this adapted, of course, for use at Epic Universe. A new Minion popcorn bucket is available at Universal Orlando Resort, this one resembling a Minion taking a picture with a selfie stick. It's $29 for the bucket. This is Bob the Minion, who has one green eye and one brown eye. His teddy bear Tim sits on his head. The selfie stick has a phone at the end that reflects Bob's face as he snaps the picture. It includes a detachable yellow strap with images of minions on it. The back of Bob's head opens to put the popcorn inside. His eyes move back and forth. And there's a real button on the handle of the selfie stick, and when pressed, there's a camera click sound effect. The light on the front of the phone flashes as well, but do note that the battery cannot be replaced. So once you kill it, that's it. There's a small on-off switch on the side of the phone, so you can conserve the battery for as long as possible. Found this bucket in the Universal Studios store at City Walk. In Orlando, no tourist area is poised to get a bigger surge than International Drive, where Comcast is constructing a new multi-billion-dollar theme park nearby. When Universal's Epic Universe opens in summer of 2025, it will likely send a flood of tourists to be the first to check out Orlando's first brand new theme park in more than 20 years. Many will undoubtedly stay at iDrive hotels, which have long been an option for tourists looking for cheaper lodging off Disney property. Universal has also expanded into iDrive by opening a pair of new hotels endless summer in 2019 and 2020. And that's why we took a closer look at International Drive before the spotlight shines brightly on Epic Universe. WDWNT requested the arrest reports for 2022 for more than a dozen iDrive hotels of various price points. Some of the biggest issues law enforcement is dealing with are thefts, drugs, and people carrying concealed weapons without permits, according to more than 40 arrest reports we reviewed from the Orange County Sheriff's Office and Orlando Police Department through our public records requests. The area dealt with a rash of overnight catalytic converter thefts last year. Catalytic converter, which thieves tend to steal and then sell at a scrapyard, is part of a car's exhaust system and filters out bad chemicals. Quote, there have been numerous victims of catalytic converter thefts within the International Drive corridor in the recent past, said the report. During a 3-week period in early 2022, the Sheriff's Office investigated 14 similar thefts that happened between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. It happened one February night at Universal's Dockside Inn and Suites garage to 2 Mitsubishi cars parked near each other. The Orange County Sheriff's Office investigated Dockside's cases and found no fingerprints, but video surveillance showed a black Volkswagen pulling into the garage and a man getting out crawling under vehicles. Quote, the suspects parked their car adjacent to the victim's vehicle. One suspect sits in the driver's seat as a lookout, and another suspect uses a cutting tool to saw the catalytic converters off victims' vehicles. The suspects spend approximately 2 minutes per victim vehicle before leaving. The suspects have almost exclusively targeted Mitsubishi Outlanders or Outlander Sports. The suspect vehicles then that have been identified were all rental vehicles. It appears the suspects often change rental vehicles to remain undetected from law enforcement. Authorities tracked the 2 men to a nearby motel where they found the catalytic converters in a backpack. The 2 men were arrested for grand theft and criminal mischief, but the state's attorney's office declined to pursue criminal charges. Not far from Dockside is the Motel 6 on 5909 American Way, and a prime iDrive location near restaurants, Fun Spot, and Endless Summer Resorts. It should be noted that the parking lot of the Motel 6 has recently had a large amount of illegal drug activity, said the Orange County Sheriff's report from June, when police arrested 2 people for having ecstasy in their car. One of the men, who was a felon, was also arrested for having a 9mm gun. Earlier in the year, police had been at the same motel because they got a call from a mother who was worried her 24-year-old daughter was kidnapped and held captive. Law enforcement found the 24-year-old Arizona resident sitting in the back of a car along with 2 men at the Motel 6. One man, though, had a 9mm pistol tucked inside the waistband, his waistband, while the other man kept the 9mm near where he was sitting. The woman told officials she was being sex trafficked by one of the men, whom she called her pimp. She said she didn't fear for her safety, though. The 2 men were arrested on gun charges. And other times, the hotels are dealing with people who are homeless and sneaking into rooms and onto the property. It's happening at a time when rent prices are skyrocketing in Central Florida, and there's little relief to help people find affordable housing. And sometimes the situations end with tourists being victims of crime. A tourist from the British Virgin Islands came back to his room and realized his backpack containing $1,500 in cash was missing on June 18th at the Point Hotel and Suites, a high-rise hotel near Carrier Drive in Universal Boulevard. The man had an Apple AirTag, so he tracked his bag, pinging at a nearby hotel, the 4 Points by Sheraton Orlando International Drive. He found the discarded backpack in the Sheraton's pool bathroom and managed to salvage his passport and his iPad, but the money was gone. With the help of law enforcement and the Point lobby video surveillance, authorities identified the suspect culprit, a white male wearing a red, white, and blue Budweiser hat, blue tank top, red shorts, and flip-flops, the Orange County Sheriff's report said. Why is that exactly who you would think would steal that backpack? But anyway, the same man could be seen on Sheraton footage as well. Quote, the subject rides the elevator to the 21st floor and walks a circle around the floor while attempting to enter the vacant rooms. He then goes back down to the first floor and walks out to the pool area. The Sheraton hotel manager who assisted me with the video surveillance recognized the white male subject as someone who has been trespassing in the vacant hotel rooms they have on the 19th, 20th, and 21st floors. In fact, a few days earlier on June 13th, the suspect went behind an employee-only counter and swiped a room key, then went up to room 2110 without paying for the $189 a night stay. Law enforcement figured out the suspect's name when a Sheraton housekeeper found his wallet on the 21st floor stairwell on June 27th. The man was a fugitive with a criminal record that included a burglary charge in Miami and an arrest warrant out for violating probation, according to the records. The man was caught walking through the Sheraton again on July 1st, attracting the manager's attention. The sheriff's department was called. The man told law enforcement he's been staying in Orlando for the last couple of weeks and has been hopping between various hotels, including the Hyatt, Marriott, and Sheraton. Jonathan advised he's been staying in vacant rooms and usually finds them by pushing on random doors until one opens. He was arrested for numerous crimes, including grand theft and burglary. Orange County Circuit court records show he was charged with possession of meth after Sheraton complained of his trespassing. So I got to explain, there were some comments on social media. I almost missed the chair. There were some comments on social media asking why we posted this story. So obviously there's incidents on there that are specifically about Endless Summer. The reason we investigated this was we had 3 separate emails, DMs, all sorts of things of the sort. There were 3 separate accounts from guests who had stayed in an Endless Summer hotel who reported there was crime happening at their hotel. So we wanted to dig and find the validity of that claim. So we did find that one. We found the one about the catalytic converters, right? We did not find the incidents that specifically those 3 people had reported to us, which some of them were about people being armed. So that being said, just because there's no record doesn't mean it didn't happen. But that's why we wanted to look into this. And it's really interesting, right? Because Universal is putting people on iDrive. By having those Endless Summer hotels, people are on iDrive. And one of the options you have is you can walk from City Walk and the parks to that location. And that will certainly be a thing you can do when Epic Universe opens as well. There will certainly be lots of people walking not only to these, non-Universal hotels in the iDrive area and other establishments, but obviously also walking to these Universal hotels, right? So this affects, obviously Universal doesn't have all the control in the world over their surrounding area, unlike Disney World, right? But at the same time, if you're going to have, a first-rate theme park resort available to people, and this is a problem that it's going to need to be addressed, especially when you're going to put so much more traffic down at that end where we're seeing this uptick, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this is addressed, how the city's going to handle it, how Universal is going to handle it. I think it is worth talking about. I think it's worth discussing, and we're going to keep an eye on it. It's officially Halloween Horror Nights speculation season, believe it or not, and Horror Nights Nightmares has shared the first speculation map for Halloween Horror Nights 2023 at Universal Studios Hollywood. You may remember we talked about the Universal Studios Florida one on the last show. Many of the same houses listed on both speculation maps, as you might guess. The scare zones and shows are currently unknown, but their likely locations are marked on the map in yellow. Here are the houses listed on the speculation map. Again, there'll be some spillover between both, some shared houses between Florida and California. But as we always tell you, the houses are pretty different coast to coast, even if they are the same subject. There is the Horrors of Blumhouse, which is Megan and Insidious, The Last of Us, once again. Universal Studios Monsters with a Paris theme. A Japanese house, again, all we know is there's a Japanese monster theme of some kind. Nightingale's Blood Prey, it's based on a previous offering in Florida, the Nightingales. The Exorcist, which has been a house in Florida already. There is a clown house of some kind. Chucky, which has already been announced. The Guitar House, which is believed to be an IP, and some people think it's Stranger Things, with the most recent season that had a heavy rock and roll theme throughout it. And then the Terror Tram is rumored to be themed to celebrities. So there you go. That's what we know at this time. That's what's speculated. Whether or not those all happen, I mean, some of them seem very likely at this point. So stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be talking about it. We have several more months to talk about Horror Nights, and we here at UPNT, we never stop talking about it. As Japan moves to shed the last of its COVID-19 protocols ahead of the May 8th reclassification of the virus to a level of least concern, Universal Studios Japan has announced that guests may take off their masks while visiting the Osaka theme park starting later this month. In fact, starting on March 13th, in line with the Japanese government's updated guidance towards masking, guests visiting Universal Studios Japan may choose whether or not to wear a mask while visiting the park, both indoors and outside. Currently, the park only allows guests to not wear masks while outdoors except while viewing entertainment, during which masks are required. However, this rule does not apply to workers at this time. A PR spokesman for Universal Studios Japan told us, quote, "In order to provide peace of mind to all guests visiting the park, crew members will still be required to wear masks while on set until further notice. We're also told this is a temporary measure during the transition period and will be reassessed going forward as the final restrictions ease." All COVID-19 restrictions are set to end nationwide, including at the theme parks again on May 8th. As of March 13th, Universal Studios Beijing will become the final Universal park on Earth to require guests to wear masks, which are mandatory both indoors and outside. You can support the entire team behind this show and others by joining the WDWNT Interglobe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to exclusive content, if I can talk today, discounted show and event tickets, and more. Special shout out to all of our WIGS members who make this show happen every week. And maybe with enough donations, I'll learn how to read the script. For more information on these stories and more, head on over to universalparksnewstoday.com. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Universal Parks News Today on YouTube for more great content, and click the bell for notifications. Also, make sure to hit select all notifications so you never miss an episode of the show. For UPNT, this is Tom Corliss saying the future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one.